I once got through an entire mediumship reading where everything was flowing and going and the evidence was nearly perfect except for one thing, and it changed the entire course of the reading. I'm going to dive into that right after this. First, for those that are new here, hi, my name's Mel. I'm a medium and an energy healer. I love to do videos about spirituality, so be sure to follow and like the videos. I also have a dedicated tarot account, Soul Care Intuitive. I'll link it down below. It's a separate channel where you can get tarot guidance, intuitive guidance. I hope to see you there. So I went through a reading about 6 or 7 months ago, and I keep thinking about it, and I've been meaning to make this video forever, but you know, life and la 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 la. But here we are. So what I wish my clients knew in a mediumship reading, part 6. I went through this reading and everything was flowing and working perfectly. The evidence was coming through really clear to me. What I was giving my client, everything, she was like, yeah, that's that. Yes, that's perfect. Yes, I understand that. This is wonderful. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So the reading was going really well. But the very first thing that came through was the spirit themselves. So I gave a description of what they looked like. They were male and other characteristics. So this person was male and they came through looking in a really clean cut, perfect way. And my client said, no, that's not my brother. That's not him. And so I said, okay, I'll go ahead and cut that part off. Let's move to what he has to say to see if that resonates and see if this could be him. Everything resonated for her brother. And I kept saying, are you sure this is something for your brother? She says, yes, that evidence matches my brother. My brother would say that. My brother did that for a job. Yes, everything fit. And at the end of the reading, she says, okay, well, I don't think you had my brother. And I said, wait a minute, wait. Everything that I brought through fit. Even a phrase that he would say that there's no possible way that I would know, and that nobody else would say but her brother. And she still would not believe that it was him because she was completely hinged on the description that I gave of her brother. Now, typically I don't give descriptions, but when they stand out to me, I give them. So for example, if I have a spirit come through and it's a male, I'll say I have a man here or I have a boy here, and that's pretty much it. I don't go, okay, they've got blonde hair, blue eyes, they're 5'6". I don't like to do that because it just gets into the weeds of things. But this time when this person appeared, he was really clean cut. His teeth were white, his face was clear, and he made that known to me, like, this is something you need to say. So I gave that description, and she refused to believe that it was her brother, even though everything else matched. So something I wanted to say in this, what I wish my clients knew in a mediumship reading, part 6, is their description and how they look, how they appear, is not going to be what you remember. It's not always going to be how they looked when they passed away. So I have 2 stories to share about that. My father, you guys know that he's passed away. My dad died when he was 61 years old. He was kind of bald on the top. Sorry, Dad. And, he was a little bit shorter. He was older, gray hair. Now, I've practiced with other mediums. I've gone to mediumship circles and things to work on my mediumship personally. And my dad typically always comes through in a mediumship reading. He loves to come through to my friend Liliana, and he loves to flirt with her. But when he comes through to other mediums, he doesn't come through as an old man, as 61 years old, as having gray hair. My dad likes to come through in his 30s shirtless. Okay? Especially if the medium is a woman. Like, my dad was always a big flirt, so that in and of itself is evidence to me too. But my dad doesn't want to be remembered as being 61 and older and having arthritis and having it be hard to walk. So my dad comes through where he felt most comfortable and he felt most happiest in his 30s. My dad was built. He had a nice body. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but he had a nice body. He had a full head of black hair, and that's how he wants to come across when he's with another medium. And I remember in the beginning, I felt that way too. I'm like, that can't be my dad. There's no way. My dad died in his 60s. But now that I'm in this position of a medium, now that I've done the work and I understand how spirit is and how they come through and how they're like on the other side, I know wholeheartedly that they come through where they are the most happiest. Okay, so my second story is my grandma. So my grandma on my mom's side, she's also in spirit. Now my grandmother died of diabetes, horrible things, like she had an amputation, she was old, it was really hard for her to walk and communicate at the end. But when my grandma comes through, I've seen her in her 20s before with I believe it's my great aunt Alice, like they're in their 20s and happy and vibrant, and they're wearing these dresses from the 50s when I see them that have that flow on the bottom, you know, like those skirts with the poodles on them from all those like movies about the 50s, the little poodle skirts. I see my grandma like that. I have never ever one time seen her come through as frail and hurting or in pain. So your family members, your friends, when they come through to a medium, they might not look like how you expected. They might not look like how they looked right before they passed away. So you've got to think in your mind, look back to how they looked throughout their life. When was a time in their life they were most happiest? So just know that the description of them does not equal that it's not them if it doesn't match what you remember them to be. Think back. So I do want to come around full circle. This client that I had where she refused to believe that it was her brother. She reached out to me about 4 months later. So this must have been about 3 months ago, sometime around there. Time goes by so fast. And she says to me, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry that I was so off-putting to you. I found a photo of my brother from when he was in his 20s, much younger, and he looked exactly like you said." Now, I did ask, I do have permission to share this from my client. Her brother was addicted to drugs. And so when he passed away, he had no teeth. His skin was really bad. He was really thin, really sunken in. He was not himself. He was not that person that he used to be. And so she expected him to come through how she remembered him, because he was addicted to drugs for many years. And she found this photo of him before his addiction. His teeth were white, which is what he showed me when he came through. His skin was like the most beautiful pearly white I've ever seen, and that's what his skin had looked like. He had like a really good, fair, perfect complexion. He was standing tall when I saw him, and he was like hunched over in shame, she would say. Whenever he'd walk around, he walked hunched over. He no longer stood tall, and so she could not put those pieces together. Something else I want you to know about this is that your grief does cloud things. So I know that it's difficult in the moment to put all the pieces together, and there's nothing wrong with that. I remember when I was first starting out on my mediumship journey and my dad would come through, I would get so emotional and so sad but happy at the same time that I couldn't process. I couldn't think what the medium was telling me. I'd have to go back, okay, yes, that's right. So for my clients as well, I want you to know it's okay to not get it perfect in that moment. It is great if you reach back out to the medium and say, hey, yes, this was what it was. All mediums are going to understand that you're going through grief and it's hard for you in that moment. I hope this video found great value for all of you. Remember, when your family and friends come through to a medium, their description is not always going to be what you remember. Their description is going to be how they feel most comfortable. They feel most happy. So don't let the descriptive part of who's coming through put the rest of the reading off. Thank you guys all so much. As always, goodbye, my lovely friend.